So calculating my speeds and the loop, that loop should, so basically from Colden, going up Colden itself, and then doing that regular loop should take 12 hours. Like, to me, 12 hours seemed very reasonable because I went out and I did the McIntyres, Marshall, and Colden. I did that loop the other day, and I got 6.5 hours. Mm-hmm. Of course, I was day packed, and I was fresh. But I'm like, okay, I mean, even if that took me 8 hours, I'm calculating, and I'm like, okay, it takes me 45 minutes to round trip tabletop. It takes me an hour and 15 to round trip Phelps.
Sure. And that day doesn't seem that wild to me.
And it takes 3.5 hours to round trip Street and I, which I did all these things. It takes me 45 minutes to get up Colden. It even still took me 45 minutes to get up Colden because I went up the southeast slide. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, here's the hard part though. I allotted 16 to 17 hours for the day. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking like, okay, Redfield, bushwhacking the Redfield, done it before. I'm hoping to get it in 3.5 hours, 4 max. But originally I was planning on being done with Alan the day before.
Yeah, you were planning to
start with that bushwhack.
Starting with the bushwhack from Alan to Redfield.
Start at 5 a.m., be on the summit of Redfield by 9.
Sure.
That was my goal. Be on the summit of Redfield by 9, send it down, be up cliff, and be back down at uphill lean 2 by 10:30.
So your plan on day 1, though, was to get up Allen, back down Allen to the base to where you'll start the bushwhack over to Redfield.
5 hours from when I woke up, I basically wanted to have done the bushwhack, hit Redfield, went up cliff, and be done. 5 hours. So starting Colden at 10 a.m., right?
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, I got 12 hours on the dot. Going to hit Colden, Tabletop, Phelps, Street, Nye, McIntyre's, Bushwhack, Marshall, and be back in 12 hours, and I'll be done by 10 p.m. Mm-hmm. But there's very, very little room for error. So clearly, I started my day behind.
So behind.
I didn't start the bushwhack till right around 10 a.m.
Okay.
So 6 hours after I got up. Okay. Wait, is that right? I think that's right. Yeah. So I was on the summit of Allen at 8:30.
Yeah.
So I started hiking at 4 in the morning. Is that right? I guess so.
Well, I mean, you had 3.5 miles to the base of Allen, and then you had to hike up Allen, which is what?
Yeah, I don't know. It just took longer than I wanted it to. I don't know. It just did. And so I got down.
But real quick, before we start day 2, how were you feeling physically and mentally here on day,
I was
just day 2?
I'm like, my legs felt fine. They felt a little tired. Mm-hmm. I was okay. I was just tired, like
40
I felt sleep deprived.
Did you say
48?
48 miles. My God.
At least that's what my watch calculated.
Sure.
Realistically, I actually think that might have only been like around 40. Okay. But I mean, really, what's the difference?
Whatever. 40 miles. So 40 miles. I mean, 40 miles. You can leave me alone.
And 10,500 vert.
Yeah. And then and then here we go, day 2.
Right. So that bushwhack took 5 hours.
Okay. Again, another 5-hour bushwhack. It's a
right.
lot of time off trail.
The Kuksakraga was 3.5, but the approach itself is technically really part of that bushwhack.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Redfield bushwhack, and I realized this time around, there is no way to make that time shorter unless you're going down it.
Okay. Good to know.
So going down it, you can get 3.5 or 4 hours. Because you got your momentum carrying you. It's easier to go. It's faster to go down the slide because at the end of the bushwhack, it's a gorgeous slide. It actually turns into if you take the head wall all the way to the top, it's a 5.5. Or sorry, it's a class 5 rock climb. Okay. So when I got to the top of that slide, I was all hands, all feet, friggin' heel hooking with a full pack on, getting up that head wall because I done it before and I was like, I don't want to exit it too early, or I will be in the trees, floating on the trees and trying to get through those too long. Because I know if you take the head wall all the way up, I'm like 30 feet from that summit.
Okay.
So that's what I did. I took the head wall as high up as I could go. I'm glad that I have a ton of rock climbing experience.
Sure.
Because I knew balance and where to grab. So I got up that just fine. That was probably the most dangerous situation that I was in during the entire time, other than the Bigfoot encounter. So I got to the top of Redfield at 3 p.m. on the dot.
3 p.m.?
3 p.m.
To Redfield?
To Redfield.
You started at 4.
I started the bushwhack at 10.
Holy mackerel. See, I'm hearing this for the first time.
I started the bushwhack at 10 a.m. It took 5 hours.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, and I know this bushwhack.
Sure.
Like I do. And so, like I said, I wanted to be standing on Redfield at 10. right? That was assuming that I had Alan done.
Sure, of course.
Okay, so
of course.
things started to go wrong.
Way behind. Now, I get that now because I didn't hear any of this. I mean, you didn't tell me any of this at this point in the day, or I didn't know that information. So real quick, let's, the people need to know. Imagine if you're listening and you're a High Peaks hiker.
And you think I'm stupid. Yeah. You are correct.
No. 11 hours into your hike, after a 40 to 48 mile day.
11 hours.
11 hours into your hike, then going to hike Cliff, Colden, Tabletop, Phelps, Street, Nye, Wright, Algonquin, Iroquois, Marshall. Whoa, dude.
Dude, I know. So it would have been a 24-hour day. Yeah, I know.
Okay, so 11 hours into your hike, 3 p.m., you finally finish the bushwhack from Allen to...
Dude, I'm so tired just thinking about this.
It
emotionally hurts thinking about what I was going through in my mind because of how just like...
It was slipping away quickly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. My goal.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean,
and what I was planning for. And so when I'm on top of Redfield, seriously, going up the bushwhack, I was actually thinking, like, I could still get these. I can still, this will still be fine. I'll be able to do it. I'll get to the top.
Yeah, that's the mentality.
Yeah, I was thinking going up, you know what? I'll be up at the top of the bushwhack by 1 p.m. I could probably finish everything up by midnight. Got top of Redfield at 3. Finally got down, like, at, close to 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Went up Cliff. Got on Cliff at 5:11.
Okay.
All right. I laid there. I called some people.
Sure.
I didn't cry, but that's when I realized my 3.5 day goal, 100% snuffed out.
So that was the moment. Day 2, Mountain 3 was the moment when you knew it's not going well.
Right.
I mean, you knew it wasn't going well, but that's when you knew, like, you have drastically miscalculated something.
Yep.
Got it.
So I'm on there and I'm like, all right.
Damn you, Cliff.
Yeah. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go down, eat well, sleep well. Mm-hmm. We'll do this in 4.5 days. Very, very reasonable.
Still would break the FKT.
By far. Almost 2 days.
Totally.
God.
I know. Man, did you bite off some serious food you couldn't chew, but continue.
Oh, yeah. So there's one thing I didn't mention.
Do it. Lay it on me.
1/3 of my caloric intake comes from something called Perpetuum powder. It's by Hammer Nutrition, and it is this. It's like almost like a protein powder, but it's like pure carbs, fats, and proteins. Like one serving of it is like 300 calories. And so in my water bladder, I would have like 1,000 calories of the stuff. So every time I go through water bladder, I consumed 1,000 calories.
Okay.
So that was a huge part in getting me through peak to peak before I would eat more. So every single day, I allotted around maybe 5,000 to 6,000 calories, which is like for me, that's plenty. I even though I'm burning close to like 10,000, the thing is like I'm not the type of person that needs to replenish 100% of my calories to keep going. I'm okay with that.
But now in this podcast, and I told you, I think that's part of where you went wrong, and I told you that. I think you need more calories than you're burning because you're this is for performance. Like, right. I know you're used to not needing that many calories.
I just didn't want the weight, man.
I know, dude. I know, but I think that's where you drastically underestimated life.
This is one of the bigger problems. Is that I actually mixed my Perpetuum powder, and I don't know if it was a bad dose of Perpetuum powder or if it was the mixture with the Hammer Nutrition Heed powder, which is an electrolyte base. I woke up and my powder was bad. It would curdle the moment it hit water.
Perfect.
So, right out of the bucket, 1/3 of my calories were gone. So, what was that resulted to? My Green Belly meal bars, which are these awesome, like 100 grams of carbs, high proteins and fats, 700 calories a piece, and I had 9 of them with me for this trip. Okay, 9 of them. I had those, and I also had 4 really dense dehydrated dinners, and I had dehydrated breakfasts. So I had the dehydrated breakfasts, which originally were supposed to be 1,200 calories, but I didn't get those in the mail, so I had to resort to 700 calorie ones. So I got
big difference.
So I had the 700 calorie ones to eat in the morning, and then since I didn't have Perpetuum powder to hold me over, I would be able to allot 2 of these Green Belly bars, and then have the dinner. so it, so I'm like, listen, I know I can get through with this much. But once that powder went away, I really realized how little then I did have. And I will say I guess I did put a lot of thought into my food for minimalist hiking.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to realize that, like, this hike, there's a reason why everyone's pack has weighed 40 pounds.
Sure.
Mine weighed 25, but that's because I also did buy so much ultra lightweight gear. I was minimalist. Mm-hmm. But I definitely, even 5 pounds more of food, like, would have gone a huge way.
Huge. Huge.
So not only was my time going bad now, because of the lack of energy and things going slower, some of my food supply was also going bad.
So now the mountains proved to be slower than you anticipated. The mountains proved that. Your food not living up to what you needed.
Right.
You didn't have enough. So, I mean, everything's going wrong.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
So I got 8 hours of sleep. I woke up.
That's clutch, though.
Yeah, I woke up. I was like starting the day bright and early, 5 a.m., and we're going to be back by 5 or 6.
Sure. Back. So you stayed. You planned to stay at Feldspar. Was that correct?
Yep. I camped at Feldspar, and I got my day pack. Put every single thing. I kept everything there, so I would just day pack. Right. So I started, hit Colden Southeast Slide. Bright and early at like 5:15. Mm-hmm. Got to the summit of Colden by 6:15.
Okay. That's a good start.
Yeah. So summit of Colden 6:15. Sent it down. Hit Tabletop. I was at summit of Tabletop by 8:30.
Okay.
Went down. Hit Phelps. I was on Phelps at 10 a.m. And I'm like, all right, sending it over to Street 9. Mm-hmm. Here we go.
That is such a long hike.
It was long.
From there to go to Street 9 to come back.
So once I was going through the lodge, it was so surreal.
I believe it.
I'm like, I can't believe where I started, and now I'm here.
Sure.
And I'm looking at the cars and the people, and to me, it felt like a lucid dream. Like,
I believe it.
I'm not walking to my car. Mm-hmm. I passed the trailhead. I'm like, I'm just still hiking through this. I'm just looking at people like...
All those happy people going to eat at the Hungry Hiker right now and get in their car and go to a restaurant and go home and take a shower.
This
and you're
former life, I don't know it anymore.
Totally.
But a lot of people knew what I was doing, so I got tons of encouragement.
That's good. That's helpful. Sure.
So I got to the top of street at 10:30 or 1:30.
1:30? Okay.
1:30.
Okay.
So I was on top of Phelps at 10. So just
okay.
3.5 hours later, I was on the summit of street.
Nice.
Okay. And then hit Nye at 1:50, and then sent it down, and was back at the bottom by 3:15.
Now, that's incredible. That's so fast up street in Nye. What were you averaging mile wise so far this day? Because you're cruising, so you're doing well.
Like my speed,
wise, yeah.
I mean, it was probably 2.5.
Yeah, that's
2.5 miles an hour, which is like right on the money, right?
That's what you want it to be.
I don't know what happened here. Somewhere, something just. It was just going slower. I really think yeah.
Maybe you didn't have enough food, but I don't know.
Well,
what do I know?
here's the other thing, guys. Please don't cringe at this. Please don't cringe at what I'm about to say. I did this entire day on 1,200 calories. Okay, but
let me read the mountains again. Although today was Colden, Tabletop, Phelps, Street, Nye, Wright, Algonquin, Iroquois, and Marshall.
Now here's the thing.
Calories.
That wasn't my choice. I could have had the breakfast. I could have had the 2 bars. I could have had the dinner. I could have had 5,000 calories.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda, should've.
But the time, the rehydration, and all this other stuff, things just, oh my goodness, dude, man. It was just so discouraging.
Okay.
But my body kicked into this survival mode where I was able to take a bite of the bar and then ascend the whole high peak. It was
felt
weird.
Like energy when you ate the bar.
Yeah,
you instantly
I would eat the bite.
Felt like
I was ready. I was like,
cool.
I knew it would take 15 minutes for it to kick in. So I'd eat before I'd go up every mountain, I'd just take a big bite out of the bar and I'd just go and do it. And then when I'd go downhill, I wouldn't need to eat. And it's only when I went uphill.
That makes sense.
So I did Street 9 on 200 calories. 2 large bites of my bar, and I felt great. I did. I was feeling good food wise doing this day.
And how were you feeling physically on this day?
It was going great.